future, talk radio will actually educate, inspire, and make you think. The future is now. Topics and music that affect your life from Universal Broadcasting Network. Tune in at ubnradio.com.
She's passionate about telling stories of amazing women who are rocking the world and empowering women to live, love, and thrive. Here's your host, Catherine Gray.
Hey, welcome to Live, Love, Thrive Women's Empowerment Hour. So glad to have you tune in today. I just wanted to mention that next week we are going to be talking with Alana Wayne from the Jewish Foundation, LA. She's going to be here along with Pamela Acosta Marquette from the Pancreatic Cancer Network, which they're doing amazing things in that arena, and we're going to be talking about that next week. So if you don't want to miss any episodes, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube, and you'll get them automatically. Today, we have with us Kelly Lynch, the founder of KPL Select Mortgages. She is really into empowering women with property ownership, and we're going to be talking about that, as well as a fabulous fundraiser that she co-chairs called An Evening with Women. And later in the show, we're going to talk with author Jennifer Howd, and she is amazing. She wrote a book about her 1-week silent meditation retreat. Oh my, I could never do that, let's just say. But we're going to talk about how it impacted her life and how she helps others to meditate and positively impact their lives. So looking forward to that. First up, please give a warm welcome to Kelly Lynch. Hey, Kelly.
Hi.
How are you?
Good, very good. Good to see you.
Awesome.
Thank you for inviting me on the show.
Oh, you bet. I've been trying to get you here.
You
so
have.
Happy. Wasn't easy. Busy lady. Yeah, it's good to be busy. I mean, you're a very successful woman in the mortgage industry.
Correct.
And I think, it's interesting to find out how people get into the different jobs that they do, or careers, I should say. And I know you love this field because you love empowering women with property ownership.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
It's interesting because you started in the television industry,
Correct,
which sounds very sexy, but you ended up in the mortgage industry, and you love it, and you love the way it empowers people. And so I want to talk about that more today. But first, let's talk about, how and why it's important to you. You were telling me that you grew up with a single mom. Your parents divorced when you were 5.
Correct, yes.
And so your mom apparently, you were saying she kind of led you to realize how you needed to be independent.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is a great thing.
Yeah, absolutely. When my parents were divorced at that time, I'm not going to say my age, but a while ago, a long time ago, women really weren't getting divorced.
Yeah.
And women didn't have checking accounts necessarily. Men pretty much handled everything. So when my parents got divorced,
they couldn't even get checking accounts,
correct,
could they? I mean,
correct. Without their husband signing on the accounts.
It seems like an alternative universe,
It
right?
really wasn't that long ago.
Yeah.
It's frightening when you think about it. But so she had to go through all of that and just establish herself as an independent adult financially.
Right.
And I was with her even as a 5-year-old and growing up, learning that, and she taught all of us, we'd have little savings accounts and go to the bank and save money and get the little passbooks and watch that grow. And
sounds like a great mom.
Yeah, and establishing credit, get credit cards so you can establish credit. So so that was kind of my
and here you probably
into
thought it was tough growing up with in a single parent home, and yet what I always find is whatever our challenges are, it always leads to something that actually benefits us in the long run. So
absolutely,
had you not grown up in that situation, which probably seemed hard at the time, you wouldn't be the independent woman you are today, possibly.
Definitely, yeah, absolutely,
yeah.
Yeah, she gave me the ability to realize that I could be really independent and how important it was to be financially independent.
Yeah.
And that's what I like to express to my clients, and especially to women that are trying to get into real estate. That's financial freedom. Once you get in and own a property, you're not subject to your landlord increasing your rents or your landlord selling the building or the property, and then you have to move. And
right.
So, financial independence is big.
Appreciation and tax write-offs and
all of that. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and the growth. And so I know you instruct women like how easy it is to buy their first home, and it's something I know that you're very vigilant about, right? Is getting that word out there, because I know you want to help women do that.
Right. Yeah. A lot of times people think it's insurmountable to be able to buy a home. They've just read, heard in the media, or, friends have been negative and telling me it's too difficult, and it's really not. I mean, if you're not ready now, you can get on a plan, and we hope you get on a plan to figure out how you can get there and what your goals are. And
so someone could actually sit down and say, hey, I want to buy a home. What steps do I need to take to start getting there? Would you help someone with that?
Absolutely. Do it all the time. Yeah. Sometimes I've worked with clients for 2-3 years until they actually get their home.
Wow,
those are the most exciting because, they follow the plan, and we check back in every few months, and and then they get their home.
I didn't even know you do that. That's great.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love hearing that.
Yeah.
So someone might not be ready, but they want to prepare, because if you don't prepare, it's never going to happen.
Correct.
And so you guide them for the duration, whatever it is, a year, 2, 3 years, until they're ready.
Yeah.
If they take the steps you give them, you're going to get them there.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of things people don't realize. Co-signers, parents can co-sign, gift letters, how to use your 401k, how to reestablish your credit.
So you can think of, innovative ways to make it happen.
Yeah.
I love that.
Think outside the box. Everything legal, but think outside the box. And I'm a mortgage broker, which is different than a retail banker, and that's why I've stayed through the years as a mortgage broker and haven't accepted positions at banks, because I work for my clients individually.
I love that. So there's nothing corporate standing in the way of And you also have a loan title company?
Escrow.
Escrow company.
So we started an escrow company probably 15 years ago, I think it's been now, to do refi escrows, and then we evolved into a fully independent company, Madison Capital Escrow, so we could do purchase and sale escrows. We worked closely with our realtors, and they wanted to be able to use our escrow company. So I had to convert into an independent escrow company. It's been great. I've got a great team of people, and it makes it really easy for us. They're right across the hall.
Yeah.
And we can
So
control
for people that might not be familiar with that, it just makes the whole process easier not to have to go to 2 different entities. You have it all in one place.
Yeah, definitely, it's helpful. And escrow is the intermediary that works with the agents, the buyers, the lenders, and they kind of gather all the documents and keep it all together.
That's cool.
So, yeah.
And then on top of that, you guys do property management,
We do,
right?
Yep.
So if somebody wanted to buy an investment property, they don't even have to manage it. You guys do the property management.
Yep. And that's how that started. So I started buying real estate, and I was managing my own property, and then I had friends who bought investment properties, and they said, would you please manage my property? So as favor to them, I did that, and then it just kind of evolved from there. So now it's a pretty big company.
And then you're like, I better open a company, enough of these favors, right?
Exactly. And
you wised up, didn't you?
Yeah, exactly. And my wife, Annie, runs that company now. So.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. So that's fun.
Yeah, I know you and Annie and Peyton are such an adorable family. I know we have pictures, and we'll share that with everybody. And you guys have been married for
how long? We got married in 2008 during that little window of time when it was legal, and then it wasn't. But we knew we wanted to be married to have kids. That was just our preference, and so we did that. And and then a couple years later we had Peyton. She just turned 6 on April 14th.
Aww.
So yeah, it's a fun time. Keeps us busy, but kindergarten this year. So
she's a cutie pie.
Yeah.
One other thing you shared with me, and we'll just touch on it for a moment because I know it's sensitive, is that you lost a sister at a young age, and I just want to share with the audience a little bit about that, because maybe there's a message in that they could take away that would be helpful to them. I know she kind of got involved with, she was in a car accident, right?
Correct, yep.
And that led to taking some painkillers. And and so I know it's a sensitive thing for you to talk about, but your message to people would be
absolutely. And we talked about this, and I'm happy to share it if it helps anybody learn from my experience. So my sister was in a car accident, pretty bad car accident, and they prescribed Vicodin, and she started using Vicodin and became
it's so prevalent today.
So prevalent, and it's worse now. Now OxyContin and all kinds of things that we're hearing more and more about. But then this was about 8 years ago. It wasn't. We didn't know as much about it, and so doctors were prescribing this medication, and it was very addictive, and more so for some than others, and she happened to be one of those addictive types. She had no addiction prior to that we knew of, that she even knew of, but unfortunately she got really connected with that, and so she basically shot her liver and kidneys. She had a surgery, and when she was coming out of the surgery, they were shutting down because they were so compromised.
Right.
It really affects your liver. Vicodin. So she had miracle. We were able to get her into UCLA emergency, and there was a liver that matched. And because she was a young mother with 2 small boys, even though she was in a coma, they did the transplant. She survived, and she survived for many, many years. And then about 4 years ago, she passed away through complications from that. She, you know, it was a period of time that she had this addiction, and she did try to get help for it. She went to the Betty Ford Center, and it's just really hard, you know.
It is hard.
And now they have pain management and things like that, which they didn't really have to the extent then, and I think that makes a big difference. So
your message to people that might be taking Vicodin or a painkiller at this time would be, it could lead to this, and so
learn about it,
reach out and
it,
get some help with it, and get off of it.
Try and find other ways to manage your pain, and don't just assume because the doctor's prescribing it, it's okay.
Right.
Because sometimes they overprescribe. Doctors are big on, we don't want you to have any pain, but you know.
I've had different people on my show that really believe in holistic healing. Some of them, like Anne Baroque, has healed herself from MS. She almost died from it. And the way we eat and the things we do, the exercise and the things we put in our body so affect our emotional psyche. And actually, Jennifer Howd's going to talk about this in the next segment, about how meditation can help with depression. She actually used it herself for that source. And so there are some alternative things that people could reach out to, nutritionists and coaches and people that can help them to manage their pain or whatever they're feeling without medication, so that they can live a long and thriving life.
Right.
Yeah.
Because the medication is really only a temporary solve for what they're experiencing, and ultimately it can become a much bigger problem than just dealing with the one situation that they can focus on.
Did that loss impact you personally, other than it, of course, being so painful? Did it make you look at life differently? Like, I don't want to waste any days, or did you kind of already live life like that anyway?
Yeah. I mean, Yeah. It was just
more how can I help
terrible
other
loss,
people?
and I wish, you keep second guessing yourself. Could we have done something different, something more?
Right.
But it is what it is, and you just have to accept that.
And so maybe that's the message to people today: is if there's someone in your life, and that is the situation, that don't look the other way.
Right. Or be aware of it. Don't. You might have an idea, but you don't really sit down and have a conversation.
Right.
And maybe you can help stop something before it starts.
Right.
Yeah.
So everybody has, I think, pivotal things in their life, both sad and happy. Obviously, probably the divorce of your parents was pivotal, the loss of your sister. But then a highlight is the birth of your child and your marriage. And, yeah. How wonderful is that?
Yeah. Fantastic.
Yeah. Life is good, huh?
Yeah. I'm very, very blessed. I have an amazing family, and we have a lot of fun together. We do a lot of fun things. We bring Peyton to everything we can.
I know. So. I saw you. We have a picture where you brought her to the fundraiser that we're going to talk about, an evening with women last year.
Yeah.
Yeah. I bet she loved that.
She loved it. Absolutely loved it.
Yeah. So let's talk about an evening with women, because this is a very important fundraiser for the LGBT Center here in Los Angeles, which is the largest LGBT center. Now I sound like Donald Trump. LGBT center in the world.
Yeah.
In the
internationally,
world.
The largest.
And I think it's so interesting. I don't know if people listening understand that this particular fundraiser helps fund women's services, which we could talk about what that means, senior services, and homeless youth. So many gay kids in the homeless youth community here in Los Angeles. I think 40% are gay. And it's so wonderful that the center houses many of them and feeds them and clothes them, and because many of them get kicked out of their homes. And
correct.
Yeah. So
and we're going to see more of that. We're going to see a lot more of that with this administration. I mean, we're hearing about it now, and it's nationally suddenly becoming acceptable to discriminate against people again for various reasons. And so we've already seen at the center an increase in demand for services up 20%.
Wow.
Because people are fearful about losing their health care. They want to get tested, HIV testing, all kinds of things. There's just this whole new climate now that we didn't have prior to our new group here.
I know you had mentioned 60% of the funding for the LGBT Center comes from federal funding, which looks like it'll be cut. And that's why this fundraiser on May 13th at the Hollywood Palladium is really important.
Yeah, really important.
If anybody would like to attend that, it's at the Hollywood Palladium. Unbelievable talent. The icon Carole King will be there.
She will. She'll be playing a guitar.
One of my favorites. What an incredibly talented singer-songwriter. Has the most amazing library of hits.
Right.
So
and a
excited.
Powerful woman.
A powerful woman. Great message. And then let's talk about some of the other talent that'll be there. Tig Notaro.
Yep, Tig Notaro will be there as our comedian. In the past, we've had Sarah Silverman and Fortune Femster, and Tig's our comedian this year. We also have great Grace Mitchell, who's an upcoming artist. She brings that kind of rock flair to it that our previous co-chair and creator of An Evening with Women, Linda Perry, brought with a lot of her artists.
Yeah.
We have Ree Butcher and Carmen Esposito, who will be hosting our event, and they're young lesbian comedians. They're married. They've got a show. They're hysterical.
Can't wait for that.
We have Eve Ensler, who has not performed in years, and she'll be doing part of the Vagina Monologues.
Oh, great. And Dana Goldberg will be doing
Dana Goldberg just joined us. She's going to be doing our live auction with a little bit of shtick before. So we're excited to have her on board. So we have a really full show this year. Yeah.
And I love it because everybody gets dressed to the nines. It's a lovely, classy event.
Right. We call it rock chic.
Rock chic.
It's not black tie, it's rock chic.
Right. I like that. And then there's a great silent auction and cocktail networking party to begin.
Correct. 6 o'clock that starts.
Then a sit-down dinner.
Correct.
And then after dinner, this fabulous show and presentation, and people learn more about the center and have fun and mingle with amazing women. There's like 1,000 women there, and a lot of awesome guys come and support as well.
Yeah.
And so if anybody would like to get a ticket, it's aneveningwithwomen.org.
Correct.
I think I have a couple of seats left at my table if people want to click that. Catherine Gray is the host of the Drop Down.
Right.
And Maria Shipskaya from Morgan Stanley's my
co-table
host.
You have an awesome section every year with your group. It's a great group. So
we're excited.
Fun table to be at.
Yeah. And then, but whatever you do, wherever you're sitting, just go on and get a ticket at aneveningwithwomen.org. It's a great event. You won't want to miss it. And it's got a spectacular energy, too. I will say, I've been for, I think, 4 years. I got to see Ozzy Osbourne.
Right. I know we have an eclectic group.
Gwen Stefani was one year. Macy Gray. Linda Perry's group, Four Non Blondes.
Four Non Blondes came back.
Every year it has been amazing.
I know.
Yeah. And
it's very intimate.
Yeah.
Because the Palladium is a small venue, and it's very intimate. And they really sing to us, and it's an amazing energy. It's an amazing night. It's a great night for women and men that support us.
So let's talk about what some of the money go to, because we said women's services. What kind of women's services do they have at the center?
There is a health program. There's a mental health program. There's a domestic abuse program, legal services. The center right now is in the middle of a huge capital campaign. We're building a facility across the street from the Village, which will be housing for homeless youth and seniors.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, so a lot of that. There's LifeWorks.
Because a lot of gay seniors, they don't have anywhere to go, right? Because they're not really welcome in the straight senior community retirement places.
They have to go back into the closet, a lot of them, to get into those facilities.
Yeah, and that's no good, because if you're not being authentic, you're not going to have a happy life. So we want them to have a happy life in their later years, and the camaraderie of it. And you guys put on events and dinners, and it's a beautiful
that youth
thing.
Senior mix is we think it's going to be fantastic, very positive.
And then with the women's services, I believe they offer medical and mental services, right?
Yeah, absolutely, which will become more vital now that Planned Parenthood has gotten defunded. So we're going to see a surge of the need for women's services at the center, health services.
Right, for sure.
Yeah. So all of that. So
now, you've been doing this for 10 years, right? Or no,
longer. A lot longer. Yeah, I was on the board for 14 years, and An Evening with Women used to be Women's Night. So it's been going on for, I think, 18 years now. But in the last 10 years, Linda Perry came on board and changed the vibe and made it what it is today.
She was amazing.
So,
yeah, we're going to miss her.
Yeah.
But it continues to be incredible this year. I mean,
we're excited. We're very excited about it.
Yeah.
So
it's almost sold out. So if people do want tickets, they do need to get on today and grab a ticket. And it's a $300 donation for some of the tables and $500 for ones that are down on the floor close up to the stage.
Yeah.
So it's nominal when you consider everything you're getting for that ticket price, and that it's going to a good cause, and it's tax deductible.
Right.
I say it's like the best of all the worlds, you know?
Yeah.
And you meet other cool people.
Yes.
And, you know, it's
a lot of great women.
Yeah.
Every year we have women that meet and they fall in love.
Yeah.
We have people that haven't seen each other.
I met my partner there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we have people that haven't seen each other for years. No.
Yeah.
No, we didn't. We met on the board though. The center board. Annie's, my wife, is a board member on the center still. So.
Oh, and that's where you met.
Yeah, that's where we met.
That's great.
Yeah. So, but it's just a great event. It's a great event.
You know, people are always saying, "Oh, I want to meet people," and one of the best ways is to volunteer. You know, I have to say, I've been on your committee for 3 years, and I've met the most wonderful people, including yourself. And I'm so happy that I volunteer and do that because. It's a wonderful way to meet like-minded women.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
It really is. We've got amazing women on our committee and center staff, and we've got a lot of women that are working hard to make this event what it is, and it's fun, you know, working with them and becoming friends with them outside of it as well. So.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so what do you think the future looks like for women in this situation of who's in charge right now in our country? You know, where do you see this going? I mean, I personally think it's a wake-up call, and I feel like there's a rise up, and people are kind of not becoming complacent. So I'm seeing something good come out of it.
Yeah.
Even though, you know, it's sad that the funding's getting cut and things like that, but we just have to step up and make sure we don't miss a beat and support the center and support each other and, you know, definitely get some fire going about women's empowerment, right?
Definitely.
Which is what this, you know, I feel like this this event is about.
Yeah, definitely. Making women aware of what's going on and resisting, persisting, you know. We have to get out there. We have to get men to support things.
Absolutely.
And vote people that are going to, you know, make a change.
Right.
There's a lot that we can do now. So.
Right.
Yeah.
And, you know, because about 40% of the people sat on the sidelines from voting last year, which is just painful.
Yeah. They're all regretting it now.
Yeah, I think so.
Right.
And I do think they will step up to the plate this time. Don't you?
Yeah. I mean, we hope so. We hope the message is out there. I mean, if they don't step up, then they must be happy with what's happening.
Right.
So if you're not happy with what's happening, you better step up.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. We can change the course.
Right. Well, I hope people come out to an evening with women. I know we'll be there.
That's right.
And we are so looking forward to it. And
fun.
Thank you for all the work you put in it, you and Annie and the rest of the group.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Because you guys are 6 tables, and it's great to have you and your energy
it's
there.
good to have Maria Shepskaya as a team partner.
Maria is one of our other rock stars.
Baby.
So thank you, Maria.
So Saturday, the 13th, Hollywood Palladium and eveningwithwomen.org. We hope to see you there. And we are going to be right back with Jennifer Howd. Stay tuned.
The Live, Love, Thrive radio show is produced by 360karma.com. Are you a 360 Karma woman? If so, spread the word. Be sure to follow us on social media at 360 Karma Women on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Please like us and share us with family and friends. This is the year of the woman, and we are stronger together. The Live, Love, Thrive program is brought to you in part by Honda of downtown Los Angeles, supporting the equality and empowerment of women. The Live, Love, Thrive radio show is produced by 3.
Welcome back. Welcome back to Live, Love, Thrive Women's Empowerment Hour. And this part of the show, we have author Jennifer Howd. She's amazing. We're going to talk about her week-long meditation, silent meditation. Let me add that, silent. That's the key word here. Hi, Jennifer. Welcome to the show.
Hi. It's so good to be here. Thank you for having me.
Oh, you bet. You bet. Well, okay. So you wrote this book called Sit, Walk, Don't Talk, right?
How I Survived a Silent Meditation Retreat.
Right.
Yes.
And it comes out May 30th,
May
right?
30th.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I mean, it's coming out.
Yep.
But people can already pre-order it on Amazon, right?
Yeah, they can pre-order it on Amazon and Barnes & Noble, basically anywhere where you can pre-order things.
And so let's talk about this book because actually, you know what I want to do is talk about what led up to you writing this book and even going on that silent meditation because like what in the world possibly drove you to that? We got to get to that, don't we? So you had shared with me that life as a child was like it was kind of rural, right?
Yeah. Grew up in rural New Hampshire.
Wow.
In the woods.
I bet it was pretty.
It was beautiful.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
absolutely beautiful.
Right.
But there was an awful lot of space between homes. You know?
So it's very isolating.
Yeah.
Especially
really,
as a child, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So you kind of had a good imagination, and as most kids that are, a single child and not a lot of playmates and stuff.
Yeah, I spent a lot of alone time in the woods with my imagination and just kind of creating worlds and stories and all of that.
And then you mentioned that your parents weren't like super attentive, so you really were kind of on your own.
Yeah. Exactly. And we had a lot of animals, so those were kind of my playmates
Animals
too.
are so great, aren't they?
Oh my God,
they're such a godsend. I love our dog Angie. She's
I was
so
admiring
beautiful.
your little froggy pen.
Oh
here.
yeah, that's yeah. Animals are great.
Yeah.
They don't argue with you. They don't they don't have anything bad to say. They're just always full of love and joy and
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, they were really my best friends growing up, honestly.
Wow. Yeah. So obviously you're an animal lover today.
I am.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I have 2 kitties now.
Yeah. So in what way were they not attentive? Were they just busy doing their thing, or
my parents? I think that they were busy doing their things, and they just I don't think that they really had the the knowledge that we do these days of like how important it is to spend time with your kids.
Right.
And
were they young?
Yeah, I'm not really sure how old they were, but you know they were doing their thing, and their parents were doing their thing, and everyone's taught from their parents. And,
right. It does go down generationally.
Yeah, and I think their parents were also kind of emotionally distant too. So it just was where they were at.
It definitely does seem like older generations were less likely to talk about feelings or engage or communicate, right? It's become something really of our generation, right?
They didn't have the skill set, like I said. They weren't taught how to do it, and silence is golden, and all these things.
Yeah.
Plus, it was New England, and New Englanders tend to be more reserved and kind of So it was that.
So tell me about the journey from there to meditation. So you had mentioned that you went through your mom passing away, and which let's just talk about that for 1 second, because I do know before my mom passed away, I used to be really sad for other people when they said their parent had passed away. But once I experienced it, it was a whole different feeling when somebody shares that with me.
Oh, yeah.
Now I have such empathy because I know exactly how they feel. Yeah. And we can't know how someone else feels unless we've actually been through something ourselves that they're experiencing, right?
Exactly.
And so I understand what you mean, like that really was a tough time in your life. I know it was for me.
Yeah.
And for most people and most women, I think.
Yeah.
And then right after that, 9/11 happened, right?
Yes, yeah.
Which oddly enough was around the same time for me. Like 9/11 happened, and then my mom passed away, and I was in New York, same as you.
Yeah.
So it definitely impacted us being in New York.
Yeah.
9/11 to this day, when I recall that day, I get choked up.
Yeah. Yeah, me too.
You know, if it, you know, to see it on television is one thing. As most people know, if they've experienced any type of catastrophe, you know, you feel for the people, but when you're actually there experiencing it, it is just beyond. Beyond words, really.
Yeah, it's
right?
It's a whole other thing. I was actually out of the country when it happened.
Oh.
I got stuck out of the country.
Oh.
But I came back on one of the first flights that came back in.
Yeah.
And we flew over the site. And we saw the smoke, and we landed at JFK, and there was nobody there. It was back when, like, we didn't know if all of the planes were going to be exploding.
Right.
It was intense.
Right. Well, I was living in the city, luckily not near the buildings, and when that happened, you know, everybody was in the streets. There was no transportation, so everybody was walking. The cell phones weren't working. I just moved there. I had no TV, no internet.
Moved?
I just moved there.
Oh my gosh!
I moved into a new building and it had no internet, no TV yet, and so I didn't know anybody. It was like, talk about isolating.
Yeah.
You know, it was probably like a silent meditation because I had no one to talk to, and honestly, no wonder I was so depressed. But it took a toll, and you didn't know what was going to happen next.
Exactly.
I think that's what people don't even understand. Like, it's not even just what happened; it's the aftermath of you couldn't leave the city. You didn't. I went to work the next day because I didn't know what to do, and they're like, "Oh no, you have to go home. There's a bomb threat," and I'm like, "What?"
Yeah.
I'm like, you know, it felt like you were living in a third world country. You know, it was like, you know, it just didn't seem like America at that time. And then, of course, no one was coming to New York City at that time.
Yeah.
They just everybody avoided it,
Yeah.
you know. So it was a tough time.
It was a very tough time.
Yeah. So I can imagine after experiencing that and losing your mom, you mentioned that then you kind of, you know, were drinking and, you know, took you down a kind of depressing path.
Yeah, I, you know, had always been dealing with depression and anxiety, and these two events heightened all of that.
Sure.
For sure.
Yeah.
So I was on depressants.
Just like we're talking about with Kelly.
Yep, on anti-anxiety medications and self-medicating with a little bit of wine.
Yeah.
You know.
And all this stuff seems harmless, but like her and I were talking about, it does affect your organs. So you can't sustain that for the long term.
No, you can't. You can't. And I just got to a point where in New York City where I just realized I can't be here anymore. Right. I have to leave.
And then you mentioned too being in like an abusive relationship, which was, I don't know if that was in New York or here.
It was in New York, and we moved to LA together. And
now, what do you think led you to be in an abusive relationship? Was that having to do with your isolating background, and was there some something in your family that made you perpetuate towards someone like that?
I mean, it's a complicated thing, but one of the things that was that seems really naive, but I didn't know what anger looked like. Because again, my parents were really reserved,
right?
And they didn't show their anger.
Right,
they
kind of
stuffed
flatlined.
it. They stuffed it inside. So I didn't know what anger looked like. And so when my partner would, you know, go on these rages, I was just like, oh, that's anger.
Yeah.
You know, oh, okay, that's anger.
Right.
I'm not really like that, but that's okay. You know, and then when it crossed physical boundaries at times, I don't know. I don't know what made me stay.
So that wasn't in your family background. It's just something that you know how to deal with. And when it came your way, you're like, what is this?
And I loved her.
Yeah.
You know, I was in love. It's abusive relationships and toxic relationships can be really complicated, right?
Yeah.
It's not all bad or all good.
Right.
It's a mixture of things.
I think that's the thing that keeps people in it is they keep focusing on the little bit of good and not on the bad. And
well, the depth of the bad is also the opposite in good too, like the capability of both. So when it's good, it's really, really good.
Yeah.
And that really is probably addictive.
Right. I think a lot of people relate to what you're saying.
Yeah.
It's so nice when you get to the point that you recognize you only want to be with somebody who's healthy for you, which you have now.
Yes.
Which is awesome.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so when you journeyed from New York to LA, like myself, which is cool, we knew each other in New York.
I know.
Yeah.
You were one of the first people I reached out to when I moved here.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Well, I'm so happy that we reconnected.
I know,
and that
me
we're
too.
both in LA.
I
know. So what perpetuated you to go on this 1 week silent meditation? Because I think that takes a lot of chutzpah to do that, because I know I couldn't do it. Let's just say that right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
I wouldn't want to go on a hour silent meditation. But I do like to meditate. Let me say that.
That's good. That's a start. That's a start. And that's where I started too. I started meditating to
I find it very grounding.
To gain clarity about how I ended up in a relationship that was as toxic as it was.
So that week gave you time to like process all that.
Well, the meditation really kind of helped me to just get clarity about who I was and what I wanted, and all of, stripping away kind of society's and other people's ideas and expectations of myself, and just getting clear about who I was, because I hadn't spent any time on my own as an adult. I was a serial monogamist from one relationship into another. And when that relationship that we were talking about fell apart, I was left with, I don't know who I am.
Right.
And because I had dipped my toe into meditation when my mom had passed away and when she was sick, I realized, hey, I think meditation is the thing that's going to help me figure out who I am.
Wow. You just felt that inside yourself.
Yeah, I felt it. It was a calling. And so I poked around some of the societies in LA. I dedicated myself to a practice. I couldn't sit for 3 minutes when I first started. That was forever for me.
I think 99% of our audience will relate to that.
Yeah, probably.
Because I've had friends say, I just can't meditate. I can't sit there.
Yeah.
But the more you practice it, like anything, it doesn't matter if it's meditation or tennis, the more you practice, the better you get at it.
Yeah, and also I was reading a lot of books, and in one particular, When Things Fall Apart by Pema Chodron, and she was talking about basically the relationship with our kind of inner critic, and how we tend to beat ourselves up. Like, most people can't or say they're not able to get meditation practices off the ground because they're beating themselves up over not being able to sit, right? They're like, telling them that they're not good enough and what's wrong with me that I can't do this. But this book really helped me realize, oh, wow, I have that voice in my head that is like telling me how hard, what a failure I am that I can't sit for 3 minutes.
Or I'll think of all the things I have to do.
Yeah, and how do I let that go?
Oh, let me stop meditating and write that down.
Right. Right, but the inner critic journey of kind of like recognizing that it was there and loosening up on myself allowed me to start sitting longer and like being able to be more self-compassionate with myself. And then I ended up going on a 5-day retreat, which is the retreat prior to this book's. And that was an amazing experience. And then I got involved with UCLA's Mindful Awareness Research Center, a year-long in-depth practice program that they had. And
I didn't even know they had that at UCLA.
Yeah, it's
you
amazing.
Opened my eyes to that.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Mindful Awareness Research Center, check them out online. They have incredible classes there. And in this year-long program, one of the prerequisites was to attend another retreat. So I ended up going on the retreat that I wrote the book about.
The 1 week retreat. And
it was 9 days, actually.
Oh, 9 days.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. I can't even go there.
To be technical.
That's believe me, 2 more days than a week is a lot.
It makes a difference.
So you first started like writing about it in like emails and stuff, right?
Yeah.
And then you realized this is a book.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And
I love the book, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
I've read it, and it was fascinating, and I was like reading it thinking, oh my God, this is what I'd be doing, this is what I'd be saying, Yeah.
Yeah. I went on the retreat, and spoiler alert. Well, should I do a spoiler alert? I don't know.
Yeah, let him get the book.
Okay. Well, something on the first day, on the first morning, waking up, happened to me that was really intense, and so I was dealing with that the entire time.
Right. I remember that.
Yeah. And so when I got home from the retreat, all my friends were like, how was it? What was it? Like they're so curious about what it was like. And I was like, oh, let me write an email to you all about what this is. And 35 pages into the email, I was like, wait a minute, I don't think this is an email. I think this is something bigger.
Yeah. And you're a great writer, by the way.
Oh,
I know you helped me construct my book, Live, Love, Thrive.
Yeah.
And your book, Sit, Walk, Don't Talk, is a great read because you're a great writer. And I'm wondering if you're such a great writer because of that isolated childhood where you had to be imaginative and everything. So, you know, I always look for, well, what good came out of something that seemed like it wasn't great? And I'm thinking, had you not had that kind of childhood, maybe you wouldn't be the fabulous writer you are today, you know.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, actually, as you're saying that, because the style, the book Sit, Walk, Don't Talk is a memoir. Yeah. And you know, you hear, I share the different kind of voices in my mind, right? And so as you're saying this right now, I'm just putting together the fact that, I used to talk to myself a lot, like as a kid. And so, and I used to journal all the time.
Really? As a kid? That's unusual.
Yes, from a very young age. It was kind of me talking to myself and like keeping myself company. So in many ways, I'm sure that skill was developed in all of that. And I used to write plays and, you know, all that kind of thing.
Yeah, and you still do that too, right?
Yeah.
You plays, screenwriting.
Yeah.
And you help other writers. Yeah. I love that. Yeah. You know, because a lot of people have great ideas, but they're not great writers. And that's okay. It's nice to hook up with someone like you that can help write that screenplay or that play or that book or whatever it is. I know you enjoy supporting people in that.
I do. I really do. Especially women.
Yeah. So I love your gifts, your writing gift, and also that you are a big advocate of having people learn meditation.
Yes.
And I know you do a weekly meditation and you coach people on it.
Yes.
And I think that's great because a lot of people don't know where to get started or how to get started. And so it's wonderful that you're doing that. Yeah. I mean, it's nice to see and connect with somebody who's doing their life calling because a lot of people don't know what it is.
Yeah.
And so it's so nice you've tapped into both the writing and the meditation and this beautiful synergy between the two.
Yeah, it's been quite a journey to get to this place.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, yeah.
It has only been pretty recently that I discovered that this meditation thing was really my calling.
Life-changing, and your calling, yeah. So what can we share from your journey on the silent meditation with people?
You mean in the book?
Yeah, I mean, or just like a general synopsis of, you know, why someone might want to take it. I know you had mentioned suffering with depression, and I can imagine that there's people that are listening that will be feeling that way and not even have thought about meditation kind of helping with that. But I know it helped you.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I feel like we don't have enough time to really get into like the depths of all of that.
Right.
And specifically also anxiety, it really helped me with too. But there's a relaxation response that happens, you know, physiologically in the body when we meditate. And we develop new relationships with our thoughts. We start not identifying with them anymore. And a lot of my thoughts were judgmental and very, you know, catastrophic and, you know, just negative. And I didn't know how to separate myself from them. And so I thus became that way, you know. And once I started meditating, starting to be able to see my thoughts for what they were and realizing, oh, I don't have to believe in them. I don't have to get hooked in them.
You're not your thoughts.
I am not my thoughts.
Right.
I can redirect my attention to something that's actually more positive. I call myself a recovering pessimist, right? And it's because of meditation.
Yeah.
You know, it's absolutely because of meditation.
Someone once told me, and I thought it was really profound, and it's so simple, is that if you want to change the way you feel, change the way you're thinking, because you can't have a feeling without having a thought.
Yeah.
And it's something I've never forgotten. And anytime I'm not feeling well, I do that. I think, well, what am I thinking that's not making me feel great?
Yeah.
And, oh, I can change that. And I think that's what you're saying is we rule our thoughts. We decide what they are. They don't decide what they are.
Yeah.
They don't, you know, they're not forced on us.
Yeah.
So we have a say-so in it. And I love that about, you know, our saying in the 360 Karma community is you create your fate. And that every day your thoughts are a decision. Am I going to have positive thoughts or am I going to be a pessimist, as you're saying? And it is a choice. People might not think it's a choice, but if they are very conscious of what they're thinking, like let's say about the situation with the country. You know, you might be thinking, this is really bumming me out every day. Or you can think, what what am I going to think about it that would be positive? Like, what am I going to do that would be an activist type of thing to move things in a better direction? That type of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
How can I move this in a positive direction and be, taking steps that are making a difference?
Yeah, and the way to stop identifying with the thoughts, at least for me and many people, is meditating, because it's like you're doing reps. It's like you're at the mental gym, mindful gym, right?
Yeah.
Every time you let go of a thought and you bring your attention back to a neutral point or even a point of positivity, you're creating new neural pathways in your brain to make it easier to do that, as opposed to falling into the negativity.
And I've always said the joy is in the present. So typically those thoughts are something about the past or something about the future that we're dreading or something.
Exactly.
But that moment, I think that's one thing that meditation does for me, is it brings me into that present moment.
Exactly.
Where you really do find the peace and joy. Meditation has been a godsend to me, because I try to start every morning with that. And they say if you do 5 minutes of meditation, it affects the whole rest of your day. And I really do feel that.
Yeah.
You feel that peace and calm that you and groundedness that you take throughout the whole rest of the day.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I meditate first thing in the morning as well. It's like I can't function almost without it.
Right. No, and when I don't, that's a very good point, I definitely feel like the day goes differently.
Yeah.
Yeah. People don't realize the magic of it.
It really is magical.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah. If they're missing it, they're really missing out if they don't at least try.
Yeah.
And I know you did a meditation in one of my workshops, and it was interesting how you taught people to recognize what a thought was and tell it, okay, like, go away. I recognize you, and
we don't want to push it away, but we recognize it, and then we acknowledge it in our mind, just like thinking, and then turn our attention away from it.
Oh, turn away from it.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
So sit, walk, don't talk. Everybody's got to get a copy, because it's definitely life-changing.
Oh.
Yeah. And it's a wonderful journey that you share, your personal journey. And I think it's a good takeaway.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So they can get it on jenniferhowd.com.
Yeah, if they go to my website, there are links of where you can buy it.
And they can pre-buy it at Amazon, because it's getting ready to launch.
Barnes
Very
& Noble.
exciting.
It's even at Target, I heard.
Yeah.
Online.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so.
Yeah. Oh, boy, that's cool. You made the big time.
Thanks.
Target. I love Target.
Yeah.
And that's so exciting that I know you first self-published and then you got picked up by a publisher. And
yeah, Parallax Press. Thank you.
Yeah. That's awesome. I'm so happy for you.
Thank you.
You deserve all the best, and just keep making such a difference in the world with your beautiful gifts.
Oh, thank you, Catherine. You too.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, well, we will be back next week with more great women, so tune in and just make it a great day. Meditate. Don't forget to meditate. It's life-changing. All right, hugs and happiness.